The Discovery. The storm on Epsilon 9 raged with unnatural fury, violet lightning splitting the sky as Dr. Elena Reyes adjusted her environment suit's settings. This desolate world at the edge of known space had claimed the lives of 3 expedition members already, but what they'd uncovered beneath its surface was worth the risk. Worth any risk. The atmospheric disturbance is intensifying, Dr. Reyes announced Kvex, her Taurian security officer. His massive armored frame made him look invincible, but even he eyed the approaching storm with concern. The shuttle pilot reports we have 37 minutes before extraction becomes impossible. Elena nodded, checking the readings on her wrist display. Acknowledged. That should be enough time. Behind them, carved into the cliff face of an ancient mountain, yawned the entrance to what her team had dubbed the Vault. Initial scans revealed it to be at least 12,000 years old, predating any known civilization in this sector. Its walls, composed of an unidentifiable material, had defied their most sophisticated cutting tools and scanning equipment. Until yesterday, when the storm had begun, and the entrance had simply opened. I would again advise against this course of action, said Jilal, the Mantari xenorchaeologist assigned to the expedition by the Galactic Council. The insectoid alien's multiple limbs gestured in agitation, the bioluminescent patterns on her exoskeleton pulsing with anxiety. The energy signatures emanating from within match no known technology. They are dissonant with established physical laws. That's precisely why we're here, Elena replied, adjusting her equipment. Humanity didn't earn its place among the stars by backing down from the unknown. Jilal's compound eyes shifted. Your species has been spacefaring for barely a century. The rest of us have millennia of experience with precursor technologies. Some ruins are sealed for good reason. Elena had heard this argument before. Humanity was too young, too brash, too undisciplined to be trusted with the secrets of the universe. The older species, the Taurians, the Mantari, the crystalline Phaedrons, viewed humans as clever children, occasionally useful but ultimately requiring supervision. We have 19 minutes of safe exploration time, Elena said, ignoring the implicit criticism. Let's make them count. The interior of the vault defied conventional architecture. Corridors bent at impossible angles. Rooms seemed larger inside than their exterior dimensions would allow, and gravity shifted subtly as they progressed deeper. Their helmet lights revealed walls inscribed with symbols that shifted when viewed directly, as if rewriting themselves for each observer. These markings resembled descriptions of the architects, Jilal whispered, her voice filled with uncharacteristic awe. The ones who came before all known civilizations. Kvex checked his weapon nervously. The architects are a myth, used to explain technology beyond our understanding. All myths contain seeds of truth, Elena replied, recording everything with her helmet camera. The symbols seemed to respond to her presence, flowing more rapidly when she approached. They reached a central chamber that dwarfed everything they'd seen before. The ceiling arched impossibly high, disappearing into darkness despite their powerful lights. At the chamber's center stood a platform of the same unidentifiable material as the walls, and above it hovered a perfect sphere, approximately 30 centimeters in diameter. The sphere rotated slowly, its surface shifting between solid and liquid states, between opacity and transparency. It emitted no detectable radiation, yet it illuminated the chamber with a soft blue glow. Impossible, Jilal whispered. The resonance patterns. This cannot be. What is it? Elena asked, transfixed by the object. If the oldest Mantari records are to be believed, Jilal said, this is a quantum seed, a device of the architects, meant to evolve species beyond their current limitations. Elena approached slowly, her scanner extended. It's emitting some kind of coherent quantum field, nothing like I've ever seen. Kvex moved the blocker path. Dr. Reyes, with respect, we should leave immediately and report this to the Council. This is beyond our mission parameters. The sphere pulsed, as if responding to their conversation. The symbols on the walls began moving more rapidly, flowing toward the center of the chamber like rivers of light converging on the artifact. "It's activating," Jilal said, backing away. "We must leave." Alina's scientific instincts warred with caution. Humanity needed this discovery. For decades, they had fought for equal standing among the galactic community, only to be consistently reminded of their junior status. If humans could understand this technology, it could change everything. "Dr. Reyes." Kvex's voice carried unusual urgency. "We had 11 minutes until extraction. The storm is worsening." A holographic projection suddenly erupted from the sphere, filling the chamber with swirling imagery. Galaxies being born, stars dying, planets forming. And amid the cosmic spectacle, humanoid figures manipulating reality itself. "The architects," Jilal whispered. "They're showing us." The projection shifted, focusing on a particular planet, Earth. The images showed human evolution, from primitive hominids to modern humans, but with something else: subtle manipulations in the genetic code, introduced millennia ago. Alina's breath caught. "They engineered us." "Not just engineering," Jilal said, her scientific detachment crumbling. "Inheritance. The architects didn't disappear. They evolved beyond physical form, and they left successors." The sphere pulsed again, brighter this time. A beam of energy shot out, scanning Alina from head to toe. She felt no pain, only a strange tingling sensation. "Dr. Reyes," Kvex shouted, raising his weapon. "No, don't," Alina ordered. "I'm fine. It's just scanning me." The sphere's surface rippled, and symbols identical to those on the walls appeared on its surface. They rearranged themselves rapidly, as if processing information. "It's responding to your genetic code," Jilal said, her voice trembling. "The architects left markers in certain species, potential they seeded for future awakening. And humans have these markers?" Alina asked. Before Jilal could answer, the sphere pulsed once more, and a voice, not heard through ears but somehow directly in their minds, spoke. "Confirmation. Inheritor species identified. Quantum seed activation protocol initiated." "Abort," Gilal cried out. "It's initiating full activation. The consequences are unknown." But it was too late. The sphere exploded into billions of particles of light that swarmed around Alina, enveloping her in a cocoon of energy. She felt no fear, only a profound sense of rightness, as if she had been waiting for this moment her entire life. Knowledge flooded her consciousness. The true nature of reality, the underlying quantum structure of the universe, the interconnection of all things across space and time. She understood suddenly that the universe was not as it appeared, that matter and energy were merely expressions of a deeper reality, one that could be manipulated by consciousness itself. Through the haze of revelation, she heard Kvex and Jilal shouting, felt them trying to pull her away from the light. But there was no pain, no danger, only transformation. When the light finally faded, Alina stood changed. Her physical form appeared the same, but her perception had expanded beyond comprehension. She could see the quantum fluctuations in the air around her, could sense the thoughts of her companions, could feel the storm raging above as a pattern of energy that she could, if she wished, reach out and calm. "Alina." Kvex approached cautiously, weapon still drawn. "Are you yourself?" She smiled. "I myself. Just more." Jilal's exoskeleton had turned pale with fear. "What has it done to you?" "Given me understanding," Alina replied, looking at her hands where tiny particles of light still danced beneath her skin. "The architects didn't disappear. They evolved. And they left this gift for those who would follow." The chamber began to shake, dust and debris falling from the impossible ceiling. The storm above had intensified, threatening their escape. "We need to leave now," Kvex urged. "The structure is becoming unstable." Alina nodded, but as they turned to leave, she noticed something on the platform where the sphere had been. A small crystal, pulsing with the same energy that now flowed through her. Instinctively, she knew it was important. She picked it up, and information flooded her mind again. The crystal was a key, a means to activate other architect sites scattered throughout the galaxy. And there was something else, a warning. The activation of the quantum seed would be detected. Others would come, those who had sought the architect's legacy for millennia. They ran through the collapsing structure, Alina's new awareness guiding them through shifting corridors that no longer followed normal geometry. They reached the entrance just as their extraction window closed, the storm now a howling maelstrom of energy. "The shuttle can't land in this," Kivek shouted over the wind. Alina looked at the storm, seeing not chaos but patterns, complex but comprehensible. She raised her hand, and for the first time, consciously directed her new abilities. The winds calmed immediately around them, creating a bubble of stillness in the heart of the tempest. Hilal stared at her, mandibles clicking in astonishment. Impossible. Alina smiled again. Not impossible. Just the next step. The shuttle descended through the eye of the storm Alina had created, landing safely beside them. As they boarded, Alina cast one last look at the vault, now collapsing in on itself, its purpose fulfilled. In orbit above Epsilon 9, aboard the research vessel Prometheus, Alina sat in isolation, surrounded by scanning equipment and concerned scientists from a dozen species. The news of what had happened on the surface had spread quickly, and representatives from the Galactic Council were already en route. Through the viewport, Alina watched as a massive energy surge erupted from the planet's surface, visible even from orbit, the final collapse of the vault. But with her new senses, she perceived something else. A signal, pulsing outward at faster than light speeds, carrying news of the seed's activation across the galaxy. A summoning, a declaration, a beginning. And somewhere in the void between stars, something ancient stirred in response. The HFY. 3 days after the incident on Epsilon 9, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session on their massive orbital habitat circling the neutral star Arizia. Representatives from all 27 recognized spacefaring civilizations gathered in the Grand Chamber, an atmosphere of tension and fear permeating the proceedings. Alina stood at the center of the chamber, surrounded by a containment field that everyone pretended was for her protection rather than theirs. She could have dissolved it with a thought, one of many abilities she was still discovering, but chose not to. Diplomacy would serve better than demonstrations of power. High Counselor Thrax, a Phaedron whose crystalline body reflected the chamber's light in dazzling patterns, addressed the assembly. The activation of an architect artifact represents an unprecedented situation. The human, Alina Reyes, has been altered on a quantum level. Her cellular structure remains human, but her neural patterns and energy signatures defy analysis. "I assure you," Alina said calmly, "I remain committed to peaceful cooperation. What's happened to me is a transformation, not a possession." Zixera, the Mantari representative and Gilal's superior, rose from her seat. "With respect, Dr. Reyes, you cannot comprehend the implications. The architect's legacy has been sought by advanced civilizations for millions of years. That their gift would activate for humans, barely a century into their interstellar phase, is troubling." "Perhaps that was precisely the point," Alina replied. "The architects didn't choose based on technological advancement, but on potential, on adaptability." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Alina could sense their thoughts. Fear predominant, but also curiosity, envy, and in some minds, calculation. Certain factions were already considering how to exploit this situation. "What matters now," she continued, "is what we do next." The activation wasn't just a transformation. It was a signal. High Counselor Thrax leaned forward. "Explain." "When the quantum seed activated, it sent a pulse across the galaxy, a notification, essentially, that an inheritor species had been found." Alina held up the crystal she'd recovered. "This contains coordinates to other architect sites, and a warning. Before she could elaborate, alarms blared throughout the habitat. The massive view screen at the chamber's end activated, showing a fleet of ships emerging from hyperspace dangerously close to the station. "Unknown vessels," reported a Taurian officer. No response to hails. Energy signatures matched no known civilization. The ships were unlike anything in known space. Asymmetrical constructions of dark metal that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved with impossible precision, forming a perfect blockade around the habitat. "They found us," Elena whispered, the knowledge surfacing from the information the seed had planted in her mind. The Vorax. As if responding to her recognition, the view screen flickered, and a figure appeared. It resembled a humanoid shrouded in shifting darkness, features indistinct except for eyes that glowed with an unnatural purple light. "We claim the inheritor," the figure announced, its voice resonating unnaturally. "Surrender the human called Elena Reyes, or face extinction." Chaos erupted in the chamber. Counselors shouted questions and demands. Security personnel rushed to battle stations. Evacuation protocols initiated. "Who are they?" demanded Thrax, turning to Elena. "What do they want with you?" Elena's mind raced through the knowledge given to her by the seed. The Vorax were contemporaries of the architects, but followed a different evolutionary path. Where the architects sought transcendence through harmony with the quantum nature of reality, the Vorax pursued dominance through technological manipulation of it. The habitat shuddered as energy weapons impacted its shields. "They've sought the architect's legacy for millions of years," Elena continued. "They believe it rightfully belongs to them, and now they've come to take it. From me." "Then perhaps we should give you to them," suggested Zixara coldly. "If your transformation has brought this threat upon us." "That would be a grave mistake," interrupted a new voice. Admiral Chen of Earth's Defense Force had arrived with the human delegation. "Dr. Rice is a citizen of Earth and under our protection. We will not surrender her to unknown hostiles." Elena felt a surge of gratitude, but also concern. "Admiral, with respect, Earth's military can't stand against the Vorax. Their technology is millions of years advanced beyond ours." "Beyond all of ours," agreed Thrax. "Our combined fleets are no match for these weapons." Another impact rocked the station, stronger this time. The shields were weakening. "There's another way," Elena said suddenly, the crystal in her hand growing warm. "The architects left more than just knowledge. They left defenses." She closed her eyes, connecting with the crystal. In her mind, she saw a network of dormant satellites scattered throughout the sector, placed in strategic positions millions of years ago and waiting for activation. "I need access to the station's transmission array," she said, opening her eyes. Quickly. Minutes later, in the habitat's communications center, Elena worked with focused intensity. She placed the crystal on the central console, where it interfaced seamlessly with technology it had never been designed for. Through her connection to the crystal, she directed the habitat's powerful transmitters to send a precisely coded quantum signal. "What exactly are you doing?" Admiral Chen asked, watching as the normally rigid protocols of the system bent to accommodate Elena's commands. "Waking up the Guardians," she replied, fingers dancing across the controls. Outside, the Vorax ships had positioned themselves for a final assault. Their weapons charged, ready to overwhelm the habitat's failing shields. Elena completed the transmission sequence and stood back. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, simultaneously across the sector, dozens of ancient satellites awakened from millions of years of dormancy. They activated instantly, generating a quantum field that expanded at impossible speeds. On the view screen, they watched as the field engulfed the Vorax ships. The vessels didn't explode or show any obvious damage. They simply froze, locked in stasis by a technology that operated on principles beyond current scientific understanding. "What did you do to them?" Thrax asked in astonishment. "Quantum isolation," Elena explained. "The field separates them from normal space-time. They're essentially frozen between moments." "Permanently?" asked Zixara. "No, We have perhaps 12 hours before they break free. The architects never built weapons of absolute destruction. Even against their enemies, they preferred containment to annihilation. Admiral Chen frowned. 12 hours isn't much time to evacuate an entire habitat. We're not evacuating, Elena said with sudden authority. We're going to stop them permanently, but I'll need help. In the hours that followed, Elena explained her plan. The crystal contained not just coordinates but instructions, how to access the full defensive network the architects had left behind, and how to activate it. But doing so would require visiting 3 different sites simultaneously and synchronizing their activation. The Council, realizing the existential threat the Vorex posed to all civilizations, authorized the mission. 3 teams were quickly assembled, one led by Elena, one by Admiral Chen, and one by a reluctant but determined Thrax. Elena's team departed for the primary site, located in deep space near the galactic core. Their ship, the fastest in the human fleet, pushed its engines beyond safe limits. As they traveled, Elena continued to explore her expanding abilities, discovering that she could perceive quantum entanglements between particles across vast distances. "How does it feel?" asked Kivex, who had insisted on accompanying her as security. Having all that knowledge, that power. Elena looked at her hands, where the particles of light still occasionally danced beneath her skin. Overwhelming. Like being given the entire history of human literature, but only having time to read the chapter headings. The Manteri believe the architects became gods, Kivex remarked. Is that what you're becoming? Elena shook her head. Not gods, just further along the evolutionary path. The universe has rules, Kivex. The architects discovered how to work with those rules rather than being constrained by them. They reached the coordinates, apparently empty space, until Elena directed them to a precise position. There, hidden by advanced cloaking technology, they found a massive space station, its architecture similar to the vault on Epsilon 9. As their ship docked, Elena received confirmation that the other teams had reached their destinations. The synchronized activation would have to be precise. Inside the station, they found a central chamber containing another quantum seed, this one dormant. Elena approached it, knowing instinctively what to do. She placed her hands on the sphere, feeling the resonance between it and the energy now flowing through her. Activation sequence initiated, she reported through the comms. Admiral Chen, Counselor Thrax, status. In position, Chen confirmed. Ready on your mark. As are we, added Thrax, his crystalline voice tight with tension. Elena took a deep breath. Synchronizing in 3, 2, 1. She released a pulse of energy into the seed before her. Simultaneously, across light years of space, Chen and Thrax activated their own sites using the protocols she had provided. The 3 quantum seeds awakened, recognizing the signature of an inheritor. A tremendous surge of energy coursed through Elena, momentarily overwhelming her senses. When her vision cleared, she saw holographic projections filling the chamber. A complete schematic of the defensive network, now fully activated. It's working, she confirmed, monitoring the quantum signatures. The network is establishing a permanent isolation field around the Vorex fleet. But something was wrong. The energy patterns weren't stabilizing. The connection between the 3 sites wavered. Elena, Chen's voice crackled through the comms. We're experiencing power fluctuations. The synchronization is failing. Elena understood immediately. The network was designed to be activated by an inheritor at all 3 locations. The remote activation isn't strong enough. What do we need? Thrax asked. Elena closed her eyes, communing directly with the seed. I need to extend my consciousness across all 3 sites simultaneously. Is that possible? Kivex asked in alarm. It's necessary, Elena replied. She placed both hands firmly on the seed and opened herself fully to its power. Her consciousness expanded beyond her physical form, stretching across the void to touch the other seeds. She felt herself existing in three places at once, her quantum-enhanced mind maintaining coherence across impossible distances. Through the seed network, she perceived the Vorex ships still frozen in the temporary field. She could sense beings aboard them, ancient, powerful, consumed by bitterness at being denied what they believed was their birthright. The permanent isolation field began to form, drawing power from the three activated sites. But as it surrounded the Vorex fleet, something unexpected happened. One of the Vorex, evidently their leader, broke through Elena's perception barriers. "You cannot contain us forever, inheritor," its consciousness hissed against hers. "We have pursued the Architect's legacy since before your species walked upright. We will not be denied." Elena felt the creature's ancient malice, its desperate hunger for the power she now wielded. But beneath the rage, she sensed something else. Fear, not of her, but of extinction. The Vorex were the last of their kind, preserved through technology, but slowly fading. In that moment of connection, Elena made a decision that the Architects had perhaps always intended an inheritor to make. Instead of completing the isolation field, she modified it, reaching deeper into the quantum structure of the Vorex ships. "Elena, what are you doing?" Chen's alarmed voice barely registered. "The field is changing." "Trust me," she replied, her consciousness still spread across three locations. The field transformed from a prison into a conduit. Through it, Elena shared a fraction of her understanding with the Vorex, not enough to give them the Architect's power, but enough to offer them a new path. "You offer mercy." The Vorex leader's consciousness recoiled in confusion. "Why?" "Because that's what we do," Elena replied. "Humans adapt. We find new solutions. We build bridges rather than walls when we can." The field stabilized, now serving as a quantum barrier that would contain the Vorex until they chose to accept the alternative path Elena had offered them. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than eternal imprisonment or destruction. Gradually, Elena withdrew her consciousness back to her physical form. She swayed on her feet, exhausted by the effort, but Kvex caught her before she fell. "What did you do?" he asked. "I gave them a choice," she replied. "Isolation or transformation. The same choice the Architects must have faced millions of years ago." Hours later, back at the Council habitat, Elena explained her actions to the assembled representatives. Some approved of her mercy, others criticized the risk she had taken. But all recognized that something fundamental had changed in the galactic order. "The Architects chose humanity for a reason," Elena concluded. "Not because we're perfect or advanced, but because we're adaptable. We find third options when faced with impossible choices. We build communities across differences. We evolve." Thrax, speaking for the Council, nodded slowly. "And what happens now, Dr. Reyes? Will all humans undergo this transformation?" Elena smiled. "No, I was just the key. But the knowledge I've gained, the understanding of quantum reality that the Architects left behind, that's something I can share, in time, as we're ready for it. Not to make humans superior, but to help all of us take the next step together." In the days that followed, the galaxy began to adjust to a new reality. The existence of the Architects was no longer theoretical, and humanity's status had been irrevocably changed. They were no longer seen as newcomers to be tolerated, but as potential partners in unlocking the next stage of cosmic evolution. As for Elena, she stood at the viewport of the Earth ship that was carrying her home, watching the stars. With her enhanced perception, she could see the quantum threads connecting all matter in the universe, the delicate web of probability and potential that underlay reality itself. The Vorex remained contained, but communication had been established. Some had already accepted the new path she had offered. Others would take longer. Evolution was never instantaneous. The crystal from the vault, now dormant again, rested in her hand. It would open other sites when the time was right, revealing more of the Architect's legacy. But not yet. Humanity, and the galaxy, needed time to adjust to this first step. "What will you do now?" Admiral Chen asked. Joining her at the viewport, Elena watched the quantum dance of particles, beautiful beyond words. Learn, teach, build bridges, the usual human things. She smiled as Earth came into view, blue and perfect against the blackness of space. After all, we're just getting started.